The snowstorm outside howled relentlessly, its icy winds battering against Ethan's cabin, turning the night into a cold, desolate world. Inside, Ethan, a retired firefighter, sat comfortably by the fire, the crackling warmth wrapping him in peace after a lifetime of chaos. He'd always cherished these quiet moments, finding solace in solitude. But tonight, the silence was shattered. A soft, desperate scratching sound echoed through the stillness, followed by a faint whimper. Ethan's heart skipped. It wasn't the wind, it was something else, something living. He set down his mug of coffee, his breath caught in his chest as he listened. The sound came again, and this time it was unmistakable. Without thinking, Ethan rose from his chair, the warmth of the fire fading as he approached the door. Whoever, or whatever, was out there needed help. And it was up to him to decide whether to answer the call. The blizzard raged outside, and Ethan's breath caught in his throat as he peered through the frosted window. There, barely visible in the swirling snow, stood a German shepherd, her body trembling from the cold, covered in a thick layer of frost. Beneath her, two tiny puppies huddled, their little bodies shaking in the storm. Ethan's heart clenched at the sight. She was weak, malnourished, and clearly struggling, but there was a fierce protectiveness in her eyes as she shielded her pups. Hesitation gripped him. He knew opening the door could change everything. But as their desperate eyes locked, Ethan's decision was made. Without another thought, he reached for the door, the cold air rushing in as he gently coaxed them inside. He wasn't sure what the next steps would bring, but he knew one thing. They were safe now, and he couldn't turn them away. Bruno stepped inside, her body stiff with wariness, her eyes never leaving Ethan as she positioned herself between her pups and the stranger who had opened the door. Ethan's heart went out to her. Her exhaustion and the fragility of the tiny puppies were evident. He gently placed a bowl of food and water near her, but Bruno remained on edge, her growl low and protective whenever Ethan dared to approach the pups. The tension was thick, but Ethan wasn't deterred. He could see how much she had endured, and the tiny breaths of the pups tugged at his heart. He stayed back, offering blankets and warmth, letting Bruno know he meant no harm. Slowly, over time, he knew trust would come, but for now, he would be patient. He wasn't about to let these three beautiful creatures face the storm alone. The soft crackle of the fire was the only sound in the cabin, as Ethan awoke to find Bruno still curled tightly around her pups. The storm had passed, but the real battle for survival was just beginning. Bruno's once matted fur was now covered in a layer of fresh warmth, but the pups, so small and frail, were barely moving. Ethan's heart clenched at the sight of their weak, labored breaths. He knew the journey ahead wasn't going to be easy for them, but he wasn't about to give up. With a sense of deep responsibility, Ethan decided to take them to the vet, ensuring they'd get the proper care. The decision wasn't just about their survival, it was about giving them a fighting chance, and he wasn't going to let them down. In that moment, he knew his quiet, solitary life had been changed forever. Ethan's heart raced as he followed the vet tech into the clinic, Bruno and her pups nestled in a blanket beside him. The sterile smell of the clinic mixed with his growing anxiety as the vet carefully examined each of them. "They're in bad shape," the vet said softly, her voice full of concern. "But they're resilient. With the right care, they'll pull through." Ethan's relief was palpable, though the road ahead was far from easy. The pups were too weak to stand, and Bruno was clearly exhausted. But the vet's words offered a glimmer of hope. "It'll take time," she warned, "but we'll help them heal." Ethan left the clinic with a renewed sense of determination. The long hours, the care, the patience, it would all be worth it. He wasn't about to let these three fighters face the world alone. For the first time since she'd arrived, Bruno didn't pull away. Instead, she let him gently stroke her fur, her body no longer tense with fear. Each day she grew a little more comfortable in Ethan's presence, the defensive wall around her slowly crumbling. As Ash and Snow, now full of energy and curiosity, began to explore their new home, Bruno followed their lead. She ventured closer to Ethan, her trust deepening with every soft word and reassuring touch. The once timid dog who had sought refuge in the storm was now learning to embrace warmth, both from the fire and the love Ethan offered. It was a healing journey, not just for Bruno, but for them both. Ethan knew with time, Bruno would find peace in this second chance at life. Ethan couldn't shake the question that gnawed at him every day. Where had Bruno come from? Her behavior told a haunting story, one of fear, survival, and pain. She flinched at sudden movements, her eyes wide with distrust, as if expecting harm at every corner. Ethan's heart ached with the realization that Bruno's past was a mystery, one shrouded in trauma. He couldn't understand why anyone would let her and her pups endure such hardship. Yet, with every hesitant step she took toward healing, Ethan's determination to uncover the truth grew stronger. What had she endured? Who had failed her? He knew it wasn't just about giving Bruno a home. It was about understanding her scars, both seen and unseen. As he watched her slowly relax, he vowed to discover the story behind her pain, no matter what it took. Ethan's heart raced as he spotted a shadowy figure standing at the edge of the woods, unmoving, just beyond the reach of his cabin's light. The figure was staring directly at Bruno, and the protective instincts Ethan had seen so many times in her flared up. She growled, her body tense as she stood guard over her pups, her gaze locked on the stranger. Something deep within Ethan stirred, a gut-wrenching feeling that this wasn't just a random passerby. The figure wasn't just watching Bruno, it was connected to her past. With his pulse quickening, Ethan grabbed his phone and called the sheriff. He wasn't about to take any chances. The unease in the air was palpable, and as he waited for the sheriff to arrive, he knew this threat was far from over. He had no idea who was lurking in the woods, but he was ready to protect his new family at all costs. The figure finally stepped forward, revealing himself as Bruno's previous owner. His cold, detached gaze locked onto Bruno, and he calmly stated that she belonged to him. Ethan's blood ran cold as the man offered no explanation for her emaciated, battered state. She got out. Happens sometimes. He shrugged, as if it was no big deal. But Ethan wasn't buying it. Standing firm, he refused to let Bruno return to a life of neglect and abuse. The words hung in the cold air as Bruno's reaction revealed a deep, painful truth. She recognized this man. Her body went rigid, her growls escalating into a ferocious snarl as if to say, "Never again." The terror in her eyes made it clear. This man had caused her suffering. Ethan knew, without a doubt, that there was no way he was going to let this man take her back. The man's defiant gaze faltered as Ethan stood his ground, unwavering in his commitment to Bruno and her pups. Finally, the man retreated, disappearing into the woods, but not without leaving a lingering sense of danger behind. Ethan watched him go, a promise burning in his chest. He would protect Bruno and her little ones, no matter the cost. He wasn't just keeping them safe from a person, he was offering them a chance at a better life. As the days passed, Bruno's once wary eyes softened. She grew more comfortable in her new home, her bond with Ethan growing stronger. No longer was she the fearful dog who had trembled in the snowstorm. With each passing day, she settled into the warmth of safety, knowing that her future and that of her pups was secure with Ethan. They were finally home. Bruno's transformation was nothing short of remarkable. Her once matted coat grew glossy and thick, a reflection of her newfound health and happiness. Each day, Ethan watched as the fear that had once clouded her eyes melted away, replaced by trust and warmth. The cabin, once filled with the quiet isolation of his retired life, now echoed with the playful sounds of puppies tumbling across the floor. Ash and snow, full of energy and curiosity, brought joy into every corner, their little barks filling the air with life. For Ethan, the stillness he had known for years was gone, replaced by the vibrant presence of Bruno and her pups. He marveled at how their recovery had not only healed them, but had also breathed new life into his own world. In this small cabin, they were creating a home, one full of love and laughter. Ethan's heart swelled as he watched Bruno lie beside him, her head resting on his leg, a quiet contentment in her eyes. The once wary dog, who had been so fearful and broken, was now his steadfast companion. Bruno had transformed from a frightened soul into a loving, loyal friend, filling the emptiness that had lingered in Ethan's life since his retirement. Every day, their bond grew stronger, woven together by mutual trust and understanding. The nights that used to echo with silence were now filled with the rhythmic sound of Bruno's breathing, a comforting presence that reminded Ethan he was no longer alone. In Bruno's quiet affection and the playful antics of her pups, Ethan found purpose again. What began as a moment of rescue had blossomed into a deep, unshakable connection, one that neither time nor hardship could break. Bruno's journey from a trembling, neglected dog to a confident, loving companion is nothing short of remarkable. Ethan watches her now, content and secure, curled up with her pups, a far cry from the fearful creature who had arrived at his doorstep. In caring for Bruno, Ethan has found more than just a pet. He's found purpose, a renewed sense of connection, and a deeper understanding of the transformative power of trust and second chances. What began as an unexpected rescue has grown into a mutual healing process, with both Bruno and Ethan learning to trust and heal together. The quiet nights that once felt lonely are now filled with the sound of paws padding across the floor, laughter, and warmth. Bruno has not only found a new life, but she has also given Ethan a second chance at his own, reminding them both of the power of love and hope. Bruno's story is a powerful reminder of the life-changing impact of adopting animals in need. Her transformation from a scared, broken dog to a vibrant and loved companion is proof that compassion and care can heal even the deepest wounds. But Bruno's journey is far from unique. Every day, animals in shelters are waiting for a second chance. You can be a part of that change. Whether it's by adopting, supporting local shelters, or simply spreading awareness, your actions can make a world of difference. Don't wait for someone else to act. Each small step counts. By giving just a little love and care, you can help create more stories of hope and second chances. Let's work together to give these animals the lives they deserve, one rescue at a time. Every act of kindness matters. Let's make that difference today.